That's a passive aggressive way of saying, turn on your camera now. Especially you, Igor.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the DCG's development update. We are here today with the teams, and my name is Balázs. I'm kind of moderating this event. We will have an amazing demo today. We are here with the platform teams, the core teams, and the mobile teams, and we are planning this session for 60 minutes. And I would like to ask you, if you have any questions, drop us in the live chat below. Please use a prefix, a Q prefix or a question prefix, so I know that it's not part of the regular conversation in the chat below.
Did Balázs just...
Ooh.
We have
Also,
Robot Flash.
That was definitely...
All right. Is my connection on stage here now? Is it better? Is it
now
better?
It is.
Wonderful. So I'm back, I guess.
Yeah, it was very interesting, very choppy. Okay, yeah, let's start.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Wonderful. Let's jump in. Start with the platform teams. Sam, would you kick us off?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give a quick overview. We had a lot of people that were off on vacation or on time off. I mean, they took time off, including Lukas. I took part of the first week of this 2-week period off. We had Igor that took most of it off, and Wisdom as well. So not that many people here, but we'll give you the updates and the stuff that we worked on and try to explain everything. So basically, Lukas and myself, we were working on the SDK. Platform seems pretty... Wait, oh no, not done yet. Back. No? Back? Can we go back? Okay, it doesn't matter. I can say it. Me and Lukas were working on the Rust SDK, and
I have an SDK. Can you hear me?
Yes, but it is quite choppy. Then we had Ivan on continuous integration, and I also worked on our little text user interface with Evgeny. Okay, let's jump into the Rust SDK, and Lukas, you can take it over.
Hi. When Balázs will switch the slide, we will see that we have merged a multi-sprint task of building Rust SDK, its initial version. So any user of that Rust SDK gets right now some read-only endpoints or methods that can be executed. It's fetching identity, data, contract, document, identity balance. Also, all these methods can be mocked. So some external developer who will use that SDK can work in offline configuration with using some test vectors that can be dumped to disk and check if his solution is working without connecting to the actual network. And more low-level features are the proof verification, when you can just call some methods that is implemented on objects, some trait in Rust naming on various object types, and get the proofs generated by the platform verified and data extracted from that proof. like extract identity from a proof returned from the server. It includes like cryptographic proof and also GroveDB proofs. So that's complete solution, and it's all built into the first bullet point here. So if you fetch identity using the high-level API, the proof verification is done transparently. And also, if you want to work more low level, we have DAPI client, which is just a client library for our DAPI. And also, it's like transparent for the user of the high level API, but available if someone has more needs than just using the high level API. Of course, this also includes many fixes, testing, and improvements, mainly in the area of proofs and of DAPI interfaces, gRPC connectivity, all that stuff. So that's all merged right now. And we will be going forward with new features in terms of new endpoints or new methods that can be executed. So we will be able to get identity keys, data contract history, epoch information, multiple data contracts. Right now, we only support fetching one data contract, and stuff like version upgrade state and voting information. And it's also in progress. And another big thing to do, but we already have some work done around that, is to put objects to the platform, like creating new identity, for example, and also creating data contract documents. I guess Sam can say later a bit more about that because he was working on that this sprint quite intensively. And that's it on my side.
Yeah. So like for put identity and put document, I did get it working, but the thing is that development is a collaborative process and a review. It needs to be reviewed, it needs to be modified, the code needs to look a little bit better. Just getting it working is sometimes not enough. So let's go on to the drive. Yeah, so basically when we send something to platform, it always gets sent as a state transition. And then when we send that state transition, when we get back the response, we have to verify that the state transition was properly executed. When it says, yes, it was properly executed, and here is the document in the state, or here is the contract that you were trying to register, or here is the proof that you updated your contract, or anything that basically proves that the state transition actually happened. So it gives back that proof, but we didn't actually have something on the drive side to actually verify or to translate the state transition into what it's supposed to validate when it gets back the response. So it on various mass Evo nodes, it could take those state transition and figure out what to put into the state. It figured out what to return as a proof. But then on the client side, we didn't have that little switch from state transition to, okay, is this proof what would be needed if the state transition was properly executed? So yeah, that's now built in. That actually took quite a lot of time. So it's now done though. We also are now restricting for the first version to one document transition per batch transaction. And this is basically because we only ever get one document transition per batch, and we want to release faster. And since we don't see any use of multi-document transitions right now, we'll do a fast follower to allow more than one document transition in a batch. And then more than one document transition is actually quite useful, right? You can do atomic swaps of documents. So like I give you one, they give me one, and it's atomically transferred. But yeah, it's just not, I mean, we don't want to test it. It hadn't been working, but I do believe that it would have, cost us another few weeks to verify it's working. And, there's a lot of complicated situations that could come about that, and we want to release faster. Okay, let us move on to the terminal user interface. So I think I had mentioned before that I had a simple private key wallet. So I continued that and finished that. Basically, it just holds a balance in a private key, and it fetches unspent transaction outputs to be able to gather them all together and put them in transactions that we can then use for identity registration. Actually, it creates an asset lock and then does the identity registration. So the identity registration now works, but with a lot of random errors, and we are going to work through those errors to figure out sometimes why we get timeouts on several nodes and other issues like that. Because it was actually failing often, I did an automatic recovery when the identity registration failed. So the identity registration can fail in 4 different steps. And what I was finding is that it was very tedious, right, to restart the process every single time, because then you'd have to, either, I mean, it can fail when it's generating the asset, it can fail when it's generating the transaction, it can fail when it's fetching the asset lock, it can fail when it's creating the state transition, the identity, private keys. It could fail in many steps, but we wanted to always pick up at the time of failure to continue the process. So that's done. Then I built in contract fetching because I needed to deal with contracts, and I started playing around with things, selecting a document type from the contract, creating a state transition, and signing the state transition. Signing, sorry there. But basically, the identity registration will create private keys. They'll all be saved for that identity in your wallet, and then you can sign state transitions, and that's done. And then I'm at the state right now where I'm trying to register a document. I sent it out, and that was 20 minutes ago, and it came back with an error. Nothing ever works on the first try. But I will show a demo, a little bit of where I'm at. It's nothing very fancy, but at least it will show that I have a working wallet and a working identity. So let me just pull that up. Okay, everybody sees my
Yes.
Screen right now? Excellent. So there's a little bit more here than last time. Right now I have an identity loaded. I can actually go into the wallet and we can see this is not pretty. Evgeny is working on a completely new version that will prettify everything and make things look a lot better. Right now, it's just giving information. So as you can see here, I have a single key wallet. Here's my public key, the address on testnet. If somebody wants to send me some dash, they can do that right here. There's a balance here. I can check my balance by pressing R on the keyboard right here. And it will work. I guess I can do that right now. In fact, just to show you guys, does somebody want to send me some balance here? Somebody want to go to the faucet and send it to this address? Wait, I'll just do it myself. Why not? Faucet. Yeah. Faucet, hurry up. Give me my coins. Give me my coins. No more dash for you. Come back in an hour. I think it's because I clicked twice. But let's see the balance here, right? It's 2.8 on the top right here. I think you guys could maybe see it. If I press refresh, updating balance. Oh, I have 6.9. It works. There we go. So yeah, the balance can be upgraded. Then you can register an identity. I already registered the identity. It fails about 4 times out of 5. That's why I didn't really want to do it on a demo, because if on a demo, it's always going to be the worst thing, and it's probably going to even fail like 20 times before actually succeeding. I do believe that the problem is that I have a pretty good idea what's the issue, and we're gonna solve it. I believe what's actually happening is that the asset locks that are so we have 2 types of asset locks. We have the instant send asset lock, and we have the chain lock asset lock. And the chain lock asset lock basically is when it happens after a few minutes, when the transaction securing the funds has been confirmed and mined into a block that's then been chain locked. But that will take a few minutes. So if you're trying again and again and it hasn't had a chain lock, you're going to go with the instant send lock. And I think that there's some error there. So we have to just try to pinpoint the error. Okay. So let's go back here. Okay, I can go into contracts. Now, I already loaded these 2 contracts, but basically it works like this. You go into the fetch system contract, or you can go load a non-system contract. I preloaded these 2 just to go really fast. Basically, you can just select dash pay, and yeah, see, now this fetches from platform, and then it verifies the content and prints it out here. It's like proving it exists in platform. I know it goes really fast, but so all of this is proved. And then it saves it here, but it already was there. So it just overwrote the thing that it already had, because it's not going to have 2 contracts with the same ID. So we can select one. Let's go into the DPNS, I guess. So you see DPNS has 2 document types. These are basically the equivalent in a database of a table, and then the fields of each one. So the domain has a label, a normalized label, blah, blah, blah. The pre-order has a salted domain hash. Then we can go into here, and then it shows you what it looks like. The salted domain hash, it's required, and it's a byte array of 32 bits. 32 bytes. Now I can broadcast around this random document type. So basically, it will just broadcast a random document for this document type, and this is what we're going to be using for stress test, right? Not broadcasting one at a time, but broadcasting thousands. If we can get one at a time, we can put them in a loop and just start like going to town on platform. But it doesn't work yet. I'll broadcast one just for you guys to see what happens. There we go. We get an error. See, that was really fast. The error came back in less than a second. Oh, you guys don't see it. When I touched it, it was very quick. But yeah, something's wrong. And again, this happened 20 minutes before, so I don't think it's going to be complex to solve. Probably there's something, some small thing wrong. And then we'll then be able to broadcast random documents. We're probably just going to do random documents for now in this, because our main goal right now is stress testing. So once we have the ability to broadcast documents, then we're going to go into strategies, which is down here. And we're going to like basically create new strategies. This was actually shown in the demo last time. And then we can do new, and then we can basically create a strategy and like do tons and tons of document creations, and just basically do this on 20 different computers all running at the same time, just sending thousands and thousands of transactions to platform. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think that we're on track to I said that we'd probably have the stress test done by the end of the month. Seeing that we're very close to registering a document, I do think we'll hit that target. So probably in the next review, I will give you guys updates on how many transactions per second platform can handle. Okay, so that's my demo. Let's continue on.
Would you? Thank you. All right. Ivan, would you kick us off with the CI improvements?
Yeah, thank you, Balázs. Hello, everyone. I would like to talk with you about our continuous integration system. It basically the run tests for our pull requests, our new changes, what we're pushing to the repository, the platform repository. And this is part of our day-to-day work. And it's kind of was a pain for us because they had multiple problems and slow down our development process, because so you do something, you push, you want to see the result, but due to different issues, you need to try again and so on, and that's not fun. So I would go really quick through the problems what we had, just to understand the difference with the new system what we built during this sprint. No, I didn't finish yet. Yeah, so the system was very inefficient in the way that we were running multiple tests for different packages, and all those tests they build some artifacts for the tests for each run, for each job, and basically did the same work all the time, which can extend the overall runtime of the CI system. Also, we had the issue with our Rust build cache. So we cached the build artifacts between the runs, so the next run's supposed to be quicker, and building all the packages from the scratch. And the solution what we had before was very complex, and it included multiple components, and that's why it was pretty fragile, and due to some not like the cargo build does not provide currently all the required features for efficient CI. So that's very it was very problematic to make something good. And the cache was huge, like up to 120 gigabytes. And from time to time, like every 2-3 days, it was broken because we built different branches with different changes, and eventually all these changes mix up in the one cache, and we saw weird compilation errors which are not actually exist in the code and on your local machine when you're running. And we used the own self-hosted runners, what we start on AWS, and they were pretty expensive. So we had like pretty big bills every month to pay. And the worst part is that the test took about like 1 hour to wait until you have your PR green, and the release process when all your features are merged and you want to release a new platform version, new components, packages, Docker images, to be able to deploy for the net, to the test net, for example, you need to wait 1 hour as well. And especially when you're doing the hot fixes and some iterative testing, like just to see additional debug information, it's end up with a huge wasting of time and stress, I would say. Yeah, Balazs, let's switch to some bright side of things. Thank you. Yeah, and so we worked a lot on the new system, and we optimized the build processes. So we reduce this duplication of work. So now, if you have multiple tests that need the same build artifacts, then we just build images, for example, or the JavaScript artifacts. We do it only once, and then we run tests with this data. So we share it among all the required jobs, the jobs that depends on this data. And we implemented the caching on multiple layers, even like, for example, the caching the test, the local network setup process. When we create the network and set up the local network, we mining blocks in core to enable the quorums and all the features. So this basically setup process is also cached, and we don't need to do setup all the time if Dashmate source code wasn't changed between the builds and different pull requests. So that's like gain like more 2 minutes and less, sorry. And it's just an example. We have multiple optimizations in cache like this. We were able, like, due to these optimizations and better caching, we were able to move most of our jobs to the free GitHub action runners, because we don't need like this intensive computation everywhere, like for running JavaScript run tests or some Rust checks and things like that. So the most of the jobs now are free for us, and we don't need to pay for that. And also we use the AMD instance, AW instance, for the self-hosted runners, and we switch to ARM based, which is more performant and cheaper. We also refactored the code of workflows a lot, and now it's much easier to read and understand. And the nice part of it that it provides a very understandable visualization of the CI process and dependencies. Yeah, and the Rust cache were simplified, the implementation with, and we fixed this the cache pollution problem as well. And nice thing as well that we were able to run test suite now in parallel, both for browsers and for Node.js. So it's twice faster, even locally, not just in CI. I would like to show you how the visualization looks like now, really quick. Balázs, could you please let me share my screen? Yeah. Okay, do you see it now?
Yes.
Cool. So this one is the release, how it looks now. You may see that here we're building the Docker images for platform components. Now it contains two parallel builds. Now it builds the ARM version on ARM instance and AMD on AMD instance without emulation as it was before, which was super slow. And when it's done, we tag these images and combine them into one manifest. And you may see that the timing now is pretty constant. It's just like about 5 minutes for each image. The same, the release npm package is pretty fast as well. Here something failed that's happening. It's probably the building of the Dashmate distribution package for macOS. I hope it will be fixed soon with the new PR what Mikhail Shemik is delivering now with switching to Node.js version 20. This is how the tests looks now. So this is test for the PR, what we discussed recently, the Rust SDK. So you may see we're building the JavaScript artifacts, and then we run all the dependent on them tasks. Like, for example, this JS packages test, so all modified packages, we run in linting tests, and the same we have running functional tests against the local network. Here you see the test suite running. So it's the two jobs for test suite and browser. So one is split in two parts to make it faster, and one for Node.js. And you may see here the Rust packages. So the timing is pretty impressive now. It's like seconds or like couple of minutes, and the same for JavaScript tests. So pretty understandable how the process goes. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show to you. Balázs, could you bring slides back, please? Yeah, so in the result, we got like all the tests and release less than 10 minutes of the runs. And that's affordable result for development. So now instead of waiting 1 hour, you're waiting 10 minutes, and you can see like how good you code, what you pushed, and you need to wait just 10 minutes to deploy something on the network. So it's about the 6x speed up. And we could calculate how much money we saved, but it would take a lot of time. So we would rather see the actual actual calculations on AWS in a couple of weeks, but we expect like 2-3 times lower the costs. So yeah,
so the costs are getting halved or 1/3.
Yes.
So we pay 1/3 of the costs potentially.
Yeah. That's for CI infrastructure. It
Yes.
might be even more, but it's more like, you know, the pessimistic estimation.
Okay,
So we'll
thank
see.
you very much.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you to infrastructure team. It won't be possible without them. Thank you, Strophy and Latte, for your contribution and help during these weekends and nights. So all developers now happy. Happy developers, happy code.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shall we move forward with the core team?
Yes. Hello, guys, from core team. So we are happy to announce that V20 will be released within a few days. Let's start by summarizing all the V20 features that will be included in this release. First of all, the randomness beacon, which is also released as Deep29. So basically what will happen once the V20 fork activates, miners will include the best chain lock signatures that they know at the moment they mine into the Coinbase. And so miner of the next block must include a better, I mean newer chain lock or an equal of the previous block chain lock signature. And so that means also, sorry, the miners must include equal or newer chain lock, but there's no rule saying that you must always include the actual best chain lock. The rule only says you need to include better than the previous one. And so why we include the chain lock inside the Coinbase? That way we will change the way mass nodes are being selected for quorum formation. As long as we don't have chain lock in the Coinbase yet, then we still need to use the old way, which relies on the block hash of the mined block. So this is the first feature. The second one was achieved through the proposal those months. So we changed the block reward reallocation. So basically, as soon as the fork activates, the treasury is doubled from 10% to 20%. Mass nodes get 60% and miners get the remaining 20%. So this will be fixed. And by fixed, I mean that the reallocation periods that were introduced, I think it was in V16, they are dropped. So we will stay at this reallocation. Another feature included in V20 is the Sentinel elimination. So this one doesn't rely on the fork status. It will be immediately active as soon as you own a mass node and upgrade to V20. So masternodes will automatically propose and vote triggers for a period of time called governance maturity window before each superblock. Just triggers means gathering all the accepted proposals so far and gathering them and proposing a superblock template, I would say. Different from the Sentinel solution, during the Sentinel solution, all masternodes with the Sentinel running in parallel were proposing in parallel triggers. So we had to include a sleep in the Sentinel process, so we wouldn't have so many conflicts of triggers at the same time. Now we introduced a sort of determinism in this process. So as soon as this maturity governance window starts, we decided to let only the masternode payee of this block to propose a trigger. So this will lead to fewer triggers to be proposed, but with much less conflicts. Also, the RPCs used by Sentinel to submit and vote a trigger are dropped. That means that as soon as V20 is released, you need to drop also Sentinel. It won't break anything if you keep it running, but it is a waste of CPU. So you should also remove it. Last but not least, V20 is the first core release to be built using the deterministic GUIX system while we replace Gitian. So Balázs, please, can we go on the next slide?
Yes.
Pasta, would you like to speak about current development?
Yeah, sure. So first I'm just gonna continue on about V20 a little bit, but we can stay on this slide. So I am happy to announce that while we were on this call, we actually tagged V20 and building has started for V20 final. So like Odie said, V20 final will be released in the next couple of days, and that process has already started. You can take a look at the release notes on GitHub now, and Odie did a great job covering kind of the major topics that are included in version 20. But as always, there are a lot of smaller stuff. There are a lot of Bitcoin backports. There's a lot of kind of stuff to support platform that we didn't really talk about here. But there's quite a bit of stuff going on in version 20, and I'm really proud of what we accomplished with it. Version 20 is a relatively fast follower compared to version 19. And we did a really good job in the version 19 release process and the version 19 to version 20 release cycle of having multiple minor releases, including v19.1, 2, and 3, that all included good changes and valuable improvements while moving towards the final version 20. The initial version 19 was released on April 14th, and we're coming up on this version 20 final release in just a couple of days. So that is also a very good kind of time frame for this release. We kind of hit our internal goals there, and I'm very happy about that. So be looking out on GitHub and forum posts and Discord announcements in the near future for a V20 final, and we will get the network upgraded. All right, yeah, so even while we have continued on with V20 kind of release cycle, we've been beginning work on what will either be v20.1 or v21, depending on kind of the needs from the platform team and different stuff like that. We're not sure what the next version is going to fully look like, whether it will be just a minor version that ends up activating the MNRR hard fork that is kind of in hibernation right now, or whether it will be a full-fledged hard forking version, which would be v21. So depending on the changes that we'll need, it'll either be a v20.1 or a v21, and we'll figure that out in the future. One of the big major features that we're looking to bring into whatever that new version is BIP324, which is P2P encryption between all nodes. That is something that Bitcoin has been working on, and they've done a pretty good job kind of designing the standard around it and figuring out what it's going to look like. They've taken a little longer than I would have liked, but that always kind of happens. And BIP324 is very close to completion now in Bitcoin, and it's time that we can start looking at it and start applying it to Dash. So yeah, I think we can move on to the next slide, and briefly we're going to show the merged PRs in the last 2 weeks. Really, there's nothing too interesting I want to call out here. We did release RC3 in the past 2 weeks, and now we've tagged v20.0.0 final. That's not on this list as it just happened within the last 30 minutes or so, but you can take a look here. Actually, one thing I do see here, one thing that didn't get mentioned is I2P support is now in version 20. So I2P is something that's similar to Tor, but very different at the same time, but similar in that it is a kind of anonymization network and protocol. And that might be very interesting, as well as dropping support for Tor v2 and having full support for Tor v3. All right. Yeah, I think that's all that we want to talk about with Core. I think we can move on to mobile.
Great. Thanks, Basta. Yeah, you can progress to the next slide there. So Android, we went a little lighter on the Android side because we had to kind of get back going on some iOS work, but both teams were focused on Core 20, verifying the activation on testnet. The reorg on testnet also kind of paused work on CoinJoin just stability-wise, but that's now in testing as well. And the FFI macro testing, there's going to be multiple rounds of testing here. We're trying to do once every week or so. So that first round was done, and yeah, that covers us for Android. And the next slide has iOS. So we paused work on Rust libraries to focus on Core 20. So like I said, that work is now it's now done. At the time of the sprint, it was just in review. We also had to change the sources of our exchange rates to a new source, and had some final merges from Dash Pay into Dash Wallet. That simplifies our branches there. Username voting work still continues. It's all UI work for now until the backend is completed. And the Rust library is again doing some final work on one of the early stages there. And then CrowdNode, we increased the precision of withdrawals, where improvement was made on the CrowdNode side, so we're able to take advantage of that and have more precise withdrawals. So that's it on mobile.
All right, thank you very much. So let us move on to the questions. Thank you for putting the Q prefix, so it's easy for me to sort out what question is intended to the team and what is just part of the regular conversation. The first question is multiple transitions document batch going to be re-enabled later?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah, it will probably get enabled on version 2. So as soon as we can. We just need to reduce our scope as best we can for the first version, and it's not something that anybody really seems to be using right now. So yeah, we'll re-enable it as soon afterwards once it's fully tested.
All righty. What is the document type? Is it a DPNS specific?
No, a document type is so a contract has multiple document types. They're basically the contract. You can see the contract as being kind of a database, and inside the database you have multiple tables. So that's basically how it works.
Thank you very much. Is there CLI for the terminal interface?
Is there a CLI
For the TUI?
Well, no. I guess we could do a CLI little app on top of the like with the same code that does the terminal interface, I guess. So we can broadcast a transaction by just writing it as a command line. But no, that's not in the plans right now. We're really doing the terminal interface just to do to have like full control over platform. Full control over platform. Full ability to broadcast a lot of transactions and to make sure platform is moving smoothly, not control over it. Just good interactions.
What is random document broadcast feature?
What is a random document broadcast? Oh, yeah. So basically inside of Dash Platform Protocol, we have document types, and any document type, basically if you load Dash Platform Protocol with a feature called random documents, it will allow you to call two methods. One of them is a random document for type, I think, and random full document. So the full document basically means that like if there's a certain field that can be between the sizes of like 12 characters and 100 characters, it will always take the maximum, while the random will take a random amount of data in the middle to populate that field. The full one is more to test, verify that like very big documents have no problems. So yeah, it's basically just really for testing. You can create thousands of random documents that all have different data and then push them to the system and then see if there's any issues, right? And with birthday paradoxes, you will have overlapping values, right? So if you have a middle name that's between, I don't know, 3 and 8 characters, right? Just with the birthday paradox, if you insert a million values, a few will have the same characters there.
All righty. So next question, did infrastructure costs reduce with the new CI build system? Yes, they did. They will be reduced. I think we covered this question.
Yeah, so basically what happened is we reduced cost to infrastructure initially when we went, this was probably like 8 months ago, or not 100% sure when it was, but we reduced heavily cost to infrastructure by getting a specific plan and like spending a lot of time. There was a lot of work on the infrastructure side to make things more efficient, but at the same time, our CI that we use for platform was basically exploding, and it was taking way too long, more than the free runners could actually support. So we went to the non-free runners that we were hosting ourselves, and then the cost exploded even more. Not the cost, but the demand for these runners exploded even more. And then we saw like like we're not talking like tens of thousands of dollars, of course. We're talking, but still significant costs. Percentage of maybe something like 50% of all of our infrastructure costs. Maybe not even 50%, maybe a third. We're going to running all of our CI for a few months. So, this was obviously not good, but we needed the CI. Otherwise, it takes a lot of developer hours, which also has a cost. So, yeah, it's really very great that now we have a much, much more efficient system that will reduce our costs. Like, I don't even know how much, but probably quite a lot on that area of infrastructure. What would you estimate, Ivan, compared to before?
My guess, 2-3 times
I mean, you mean like 80%,
less.
70%?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, something like that. Yeah. So
Because previously all this, for example, you waiting this 1 hour, and you have for the parallel builds for this one during this 1 hour, it's like, let's say like 20 runs in parallel, and now you have only like 5 of them, or like not 5, I would say 8 of them on self-hosted runners, and the rest free runners. So, and the self-hosted are also much quicker now, so the CPU time will be less.
yeah, and we save a lot of money on developer hours as well, right? Because sometimes you're looking at your CI and you're waiting for it to finish, and you see it's going to finish in about 20 minutes. You're not going to start a new task, right? So you just go and like get coffee or something. But when that doesn't have to happen, right, and it's just done, it saves a lot of time and productivity.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing to highlight. That actually it will speed up our development process a lot, not just the CI costs. Yeah.
Yeah, like the infrastructure costs are probably going to be, I mean, it's just a guess, but somewhere probably between savings of probably between $500 to $1,000 so per month, which really helps.
Alrighty. We are kind of running out of time, but I really would like to cover the 2 more questions we had. So the first one is, should we expect a new Dash wallet release soon? And by that, it means mobile wallet.
Yeah, I can take that. So yeah, we have 2 releases that are planned. The first one is just going to be a point release, a few bug fixes, and some of the improvements that I mentioned earlier. Excuse me, that should be coming in the coming days. Just doing some final testing there. We'll have a major release in the next probably couple of weeks. It just depends on the rollout of Core 20. Once that rollout starts for Core 20, and we have confirmation of when it's going to activate, then we'll be putting out that major release for the wallets to support that protocol. So that'll be coming in I'd say 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the time frame of Core.
Thank you very much. Next question: will the next testnet be operating with 1.0 version 1.0 or version 0.25?
That's actually kind of a trick question because we haven't completely made a very big differentiator between 0.25 and 0.1. As you've seen on this on the slides today, there was no work on the platform itself, or there was some. Actually, there were 2 items on platform itself, but right now we're doing the SDK and other parts. There will be more work before we release, definitely, as we improve and have more bug fixes, most likely. So eventually we will tag a 1.0, but it's not like, oh, we tag a 1.0 and then it won't speed up development just by saying, hey, we're going to 1.0, dev 5, dev 6, dev 7. Like the goal is about the same. We want to get a stable platform out there, but if we continue calling it v25 0.25 or 1.0.dev something, doesn't really matter. We haven't made that decision yet.
Thank you. What is verified testnet upgrade in the mobile dash wallet? Is it about bringing testnet support back in the mobile wallets?
So we've always had support for testnet in the mobile wallets. It's implemented a little bit differently for iOS and Android. iOS, it's kind of you can toggle it between the networks, as opposed to Android. We make different builds or independent builds. So that's always been there. It's really just been the stability of testnet and reorganizations and whatnot that make it unstable on the mobile wallets. But the verification process is what I mentioned earlier, which is just making sure that our wallets can properly transition from 19 to 20.
Thank you very much. When V20 hard fork going to happen? I suppose signaling should start happening soon.
Yeah, so you can take a look at pull request 5692 on GitHub if you're really curious of the details, but the gist is that the first window where miners will be able to signal starts on October, November 22nd, right? So about a week-ish from now. What is that? 6 days, something like that. Maybe slightly longer, but November 22nd is the first window where miners will be able to signal. And so then the earliest possible, actually, that might be the end of that period. I believe the earliest activation looks like it could be as early as November 30th, earliest possible lock-in being the 22nd, but probably it will be later than that. But the earliest possible activation should be the 30th of this month.
All righty. And that's it with the questions. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us today, having this conversation and giving us feedback. And hopefully we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye-bye.